Now, look, just going back, your grandparents, our great grandparents.
Yes.
Now, taking the Cleaver side first, what was the story there?
Come on, you say.
Well, there was Lydia Florence Mortimer, and she married William John Cleaver in, I'm not sure, yes.
About that 19...
Just roughly, yeah, just roughly.
It's about 1924.
Right. And they came out to Australia when?
Oh, well,
Dad,
he came, William John Cleaver first came to, oh God, here we go, came out to Australia in 1911, and then he went back, and then he came out in 1914 with his family, his mother and father, 2 sisters, and some brothers, and they lived in Mount Lawley, bought a home there. And they hadn't been out here very long, and I don't know how many years, but the father dropped dead, standing at of a heart attack, and so my grandmother was left with all these children, and she had been very dominant. The husband had been very dominant, so she found it very.
Well, she hadn't done much, I suppose.
No, only have babies.
He was dominant, all right. He was on top of it.
And I could remember her, she always dressed in black. It might have been because he died, she dressed in black. And coming to 42 Phillip Road for several visits before so she must have died after 1934, because we went to Phillip Road in 1934, and we...
Sure you were there, Dad?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't there, he was always out getting belted down in the garage, because Dad was away at the war, or back in Bathara, because we thought we'd sold our business in Bathara and the people couldn't pay for it. So Dad had to go back there, and so and even in those days we were a split family, and then the war came in 1939 and Dad went into the canteen. Is that right?
You didn't say anything about the First World War. He fought in the First World War.
Yeah, but he didn't. Did you realise he didn't join until 1916, and then he got injured? That's what it tells you all on the internet.
Oh,
Yes.
well, he got those 2 fingers shot off.
Yes.
The bullet went in his belly.
In his lungs.
This is William.
Well, same difference.
First World War.
Whereabouts did he fight in World War One?
France.
France.
Yes.
So what else?
So the main ones that we kept in touch with of Dad's brothers was he was called Jumbo, but his name was Albert, and I think the other one was Charles, and he's Richard Cleaver's father. And there was the 2 girls was Edith. She married somebody Johnson, and they lived either in Queen's Park or Big Park. And the other sister
Married a brewer, and she was. They had the hotel at Carnamar.
and Mora.
And oh well, I don't know.
Well, that's where Dad worked at Mora. That's how he met Mum.
Well, that was before he went to Bathara, and then they went from Mora to Carnamar.
Oh, you were probably right.
Yeah,
Because,
of course I'm right.
And yes, and one of the brewer daughters married a shepherd from Geraldton, and
Billy Brewer,
Billy Brewer married a
well
shepherd.
known.
Yes, and she's still alive, you know, and still
Yes.
well known.
That's right.
And
Whereabouts?
in Geraldton.
Geraldton.
Yeah.
She does all the flowers and that at the bowling club.
Mm.
And she just lives in a little unit now because her
Speaker.
husband has passed away, and I don't think she had any children.
No.
No, she was.
I was up there.
Yeah.
I had
Speak up.
to.
You worked up there.
I went up. I had to go on. The doctor sent me up
She was
there.
on sick leave.
And I
Oh.
was sick leave, and I stayed at the hotel
Shepherd's
where
Hotel.
she was, and I used to help her with
Flowers.
the flowers and the.
Yes, no, it's Peter.
She used to have what's the name? She used to have the. I used to help her with the food and everything. And she had
Smorgasbords.
different smorgasbords and
They
things
didn't
like that.
call it smorgasbord in
But,
those days.
Buffet or something.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Or spread.
And I used to help her. with
She
the,
was tall like Marlene, wasn't she? Don't you think she
Yeah,
was pretty tall? And
no,
she always had her hair up, perhaps that made it.
But they reckon with the, you know, not having babies, they reckon only good girls have babies out of wedlock. And she wanted a girl, nothing but, because you never had babies.
I know. Never heard that.
Oh yes, that's well known in the, up in Mosman Park.
Oh, because I am forgetting Horace Cleaver.
Yes,
Yes, I didn't mention him.
no.
Yeah,
So he's one of the brothers, was he?
Yep,
Yes.
he was with Dad.
Right.
yeah, at Pathara.
Who-
Yeah, that's right.
Well, he used to
Yes.
do the hairdressing mainly
I should write this down.
before, and then he,
Yeah.
And the people, oh, we better not put the scandal in.
Oh, put the scandal
Put
in.
the scandal in.
Scandal.
no,
We need
better
scandal.
not.
Well, the people of Pathara said he got a young girl into trouble, and he swears that he didn't,
Who was this? Horace?
Horace. So he shot himself.
Oh,
Oh.
serious?
S-H-A-T, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So how old would he have been when that happened?
At 27.
Was that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was before we came down, because they went to the funeral, we had to stay home.
Yeah.
What-
And when
what
we
year was
got
that?
to-
What year was that about?
well, we went down in 34, so
Could
And
be
remember-
30, 32, I
Yeah.
don't know.
we didn't know, and we found a letter. We had, remember we, in the lounge room, I must have had a whooping cough or something, and we were in bed, and we found this letter that he'd written to Dad explaining.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
good, we did, that's how we knew.
Well, I couldn't
So
read
that
those
there
days.
was no admission of guilt in that he felt that he was not guilty.
Well,
Yes.
Dad,
But-
Let's turn to the Mortimers. Now, what could we say about the Mortimers quickly in terms of the
Well, Lydia
grandparents there?
Florence came, she had 5 sisters and 6 brothers, and her youngest brother, Leonard, he put up his age to go to the First World War and never came back.
there's Gallipoli.
Mm. Now, sorry, Lydia's parents, your grandparents were
They were Joseph and Ellen Mortimer,
right,
and
and they travelled out to Australia, did they?
no, she was a Sims, which I didn't know
Yeah.
until recently, from Gingin. And yet they were married in Bustleton.
Yeah. Well, that's where he was working.
So they were.
Because
How
he-
did she meet him? That's what's
I don't know.
Well, the Sims
But-
must have come from.
Every time he came home, they had a baby, had a bun in the oven.
So he must have
They
been.
had 12 kids, 6 boys, 6 girls.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
So you're going to come home every Christmas?
Yeah.
Wham!
So your grandparents were born here in Australia, were
WA.
they? Right.
Okay.
Were they?
I know Ellen Mortimer was, but didn't he come out on a boat with the Bustles?
Oh, how would I know?
Oh, the buses.
Bustles.
Buses.
so
You know, from
Bus-
down
from
Bustleton.
Right, okay.
There was some. He may have only worked for them.
Right.
Mm. But anyway, well then carrying forward to the family, I think we did a bit of a background on the family. So then you've got Lydia, and
William.
Yeah.
Do you want her brothers? The eldest boy was William, who I don't know what
Bill.
he got up to. Bill. Then there was Vernon and
never
Harry.
No Vernon.
Eh?
No Vernon.
It was. That's Frank's father.
Frank's father was Jack.
It was ringing.
Jack?
Who's Jack's real father?
It was
No,
not.
Vernon. of course.
It was. And their eldest boy who was killed was Vernon.
All right.
How was he killed?
He died in the disease, didn't he?
No, a football hit him at school,
Oh, I
and he
don't
got
know. I
at
don't know.
Carnarvon at the Carnarvon Catholic College.
Oh,
Big hoo-ha about that.
I don't know.
Okay.
Leonard, William, Vernon, Harry, Bert, Arthur.
Jack.
No, if you go for that, we've got 7. Then we got Gertie, Rose, Grace, Ethel, Lydia, and what was the other one?
Elsie.
Elsie.
There we go.
6 and 6.
And then, well, the other side you're not even sure.
No, we don't know.
Cleaver.
Righto. So now turning to Lydia, what do we know about her?
Well,
She was a bloody... She
she
had a
was,
sense of humour.
and she liked wearing hats and gloves and pretending she was a
Mum.
lady.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She was a lady.
she was.
Yeah. She never drank, but when she made... what is it?
Trifle.
When she
Trifle.
made trifle, she used to put a bottle of port in each one. That's in the trifle.
God,
You couldn't, it took your bloody breath away. Oh,
She liked trifle.
dynamite.
And she loved going to
Mother's
concerts
Union.
and
Mother's Union was a...
oh yeah, she got involved with the Oxford,
Viola Club.
the Myola Club and playing bridge. And she also, one stage, liked to Minister John Bell and got very involved with the Oxford group. But I think my father said, well, if she wants to do that, she can clear out. So she wasn't as churchy after that.
She used to take us to church.
Yeah, well, she always went to church, but this Oxford group, they used to go morning, noon and night
Yeah.
up to the cathedral.
Hmm.
And,
And
But she used to just go to the shops, you know. She'd
What?
always wear
Yeah.
gloves and a hat and everything just to go and get.
and she had to walk everywhere.
Yeah.
She walked and, you know,
We used to walk in from Phillip Road,
yes.
mile and a half into Cleaver. Then we
Because she
carried-
never had any money. She only had, you used to give her about, I think it was 30 shillings when we first went to Phillip Road. She had 30 shillings a week for us to live on. And Auntie Grace from Mora, she always sent down, she'd get up at 2 a.m. and go into the train to be in there at Hubbardsford and put these food parcels on the trains, because this was during the war too, when we had to have, was rationing.
Mm.
And if she had any spare, food things, because they lived off the farm, she'd send them down for sugar.
Mm.
And,
Okay, and so just to be clear, she grew up as a girl where?
well, she in Gingin,
Mm.
and because she was the middle one, she had to stay home and look after help with the babies.
Mm.
So she never went nursing, and she only did midwifery nursing at King Edward Memorial Hospital.
Mm.
And
Then she went to Harvey.
no, then she went to, well, she did go to Harvey, but then she went to Mora, and that's, and because all the babies were dying there, she should be recognised because she started the maternity section where you weren't allowed to, it was kept separate, and so the babies in Mora stopped dying. She'd turn over in a grave now. She knew that they were all round in the general part again.
Mm.
And, in the hospitals they don't have any maternity sections now.
Mm. So that was in her role as a midwifery.
Yeah, she only did midwifery, she wasn't
Yeah. And from Mora? Was that where she met
Yeah, Bill.
William?
Yes.
Bill. What was Bill doing? Oh, now where did Bill grow up?
Well, he went to the
yeah.
First World War, and then he came back and he was a sort of a handyman.
Well, and he did a hell of a lot of clearing at the Thara. He
Mm.
was well built, for when he was young, because he was, clearing land, grubbing land. They never rolled it, everything was grubbed before the war.
Mm.
And when he came back, he must have, I don't know whether he went to Palara and then he came to work at the hotel, didn't he? At Moore or so, you say?
Yeah, well, he was sort of a handyman.
And that's where they met,
Yeah.
while he was at the hotel.
Yeah, and
And
she played hard to get for a while, I think.
Well,
What
there was 8 years difference between their ages.
right.
So she was, Dad was the toy boy.
Oh, he was younger, was he?
Oh, she's 8
Oh,
years.
8 years older,
Well,
right.
that's-
And when they got married, he put his age up and she put hers down. So there wasn't be the big gap.
All right.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And so they got married where? Do you know?
Moore,
Um,
with Ginger.
yeah, I've got all the papers at home, Brian.
Hmm.
And,
And
Busselton, I think they did.
okay.
I thought it was Ginger.
Now they had you two in now what?
1926 and 1927.
Okay. Born where?
At Harvey Hospital, opposite the Perth Oval.
Both of you.
Yes, and when they wanted a girl first, and when Peter arrived, they said it's not a Janet, it's a Peter, and that's how he got his nickname, because the matron of King Edward
Tell everyone.
Hospital,
Harvey Hospital.
the matron of, she was matron of King Edward Hospital. There was a scandal there, so then she went and opened her own,
Oh, yeah.
Miss Harvey went and opened her own hospital and took most of her staff, you know, when they were trained.
Miss Plant.
Yes.
I remember her.
Yeah. And to
Wasn't yesterday.
Harvey Hospital.
Not when I was born.
And so where did you have your early years of childhood then?
In Pathara.
Oh yeah.
Until I was,
We moved, we were there
I was 8 and you were 7.
7. Yeah.
When we came down to Claremont.
We
Mm.
went to
And that's when you had the
Claremont.
shop. That's when your mum and dad had the shop in Pathara, is that right?
Oh yeah, when they were in Pathara, he had the shop.
Yeah.
What was
He
that
He
shop?
stayed there till the war, and then he in 39 or whenever he joined up, that's when we said he went into the canteens
Oh, okay.
and put Maris was his name. Maris, the fellow, ran the shop for him while he was away.
Was that the
Oh,
Second
okay.
World War?
Yes,
Mm.
Yes. We used to go to Hollywood, you know, he had the
Yeah,
canteen
that's
there.
right.
Oh, what was the shop?
Went to
Sorry.
Northam
Well, it had
What was
it
the
was
canteen?
an agency sort of.
Agency.
It had the shell depots and
Oh yeah.
but when the Depression came, he only got a shilling in the pound for all the debts he was owed. And then when the war came and all those farmers made money,
You got Stuffall,
yeah,
Mm.
you could
Shirley
get,
Strickland's father
well,
was
they weren't. So,
Oh.
Yeah.
It was the Andersons and
the Roaches.
the Brownings and
The Roaches.
yeah, Stricklands. They had that many kids. They weren't as well off as
Mm.
That's right, he kept them going. He kept them going in kerosene and that for
yeah,
their tractors.
yeah.
And then he got nothing out of it.
Mm. Can you remember schooling at Pathara?
Yes, because we always had the school teachers stopping with us. Remember Miss Hartree
Yeah.
and Miss Rashton?
Yeah.
She married Bernie Dickens.
Dickens, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
She didn't know she was eating bloody rabbit, did she?
no, I can't remember that.
Yeah, Mum,
And we used
she
to
wouldn't
come
eat
home for
rabbits,
dinner.
Mum.
No, we didn't know that.
We used to come home for dinner, and she'd have a hot dinner with swede, which I hated. And if you didn't eat it for dinner, when you came home for tea, you got it for tea, and you
I
ate
hate
it
it.
cold.
And bloody cabbage.
Yes.
I go,
Yeah.
no.
I was the same
I
with
love it,
swede.
and
But
I
I've never
sort
bought
of,
swede. I've
That's
never made
beautiful,
my
man.
kids.
and we
It's-
do.
You like swede?
Jan Hoskins, he,
Oh.
Nola Knight's husband,
Yes.
he grew some and geez, they were bloody beautiful.
Mm.
Gave us some and we liked them.
Mm.
We haven't had any for,
Was it a combined sort of school, all classes, or they divide up the classes?
no,
Right.
all in one room.
Yeah. But
So then, when did you come to Perth?
1934.
We went
And that's when you went to Phillip
we went
Road?
No, we lived-
Victoria Avenue.
We
Victoria.
lived in wasn't Victoria Avenue, it was something Victoria, but down from Lucknow Hospital, that street.
What suburb, sorry, what suburb?
Claremont, still
Still at
Claremont.
Claremont, okay.
We were in a flat,
Yeah.
yeah, we rented.
Dr. Cook was on the corner.
Yes, well that's not Victoria Avenue, But it is a name like, some name like that.
Well, I named it first. So the other one is down up the top of it, not Victoria Parade, and that goes right around.
Queensley Drive, it wasn't Queensley Drive, it was another one that came off Queensley Drive.
Yeah, I know, come past the, you turn the left, right when you get to the top of the hill, but they close that off now, you can't get through.
Can't you?
No.
Did you go to school down here?
Claremont Central,
Yeah.
and then Peter kept riding his bike through Scotch College, he forgot to go to the
I went
classroom.
backwards through Scotch College.
All right.
This is
And I went to Presbyterian Ladies College.
Right.
And I left school in 42, started at Elders in December 42. I've virtually been in the wool game all my life.
Well, you started in 1942.
Yes,
So how long-
you weren't.
I thought you went.
What about the time when you weren't there, those office girls told on you?
Yeah, bloody little harlot.
They,
She was.
they saw him get
All
off
the
the...
office Johnnies were going down chopping wood. More than that, they were sawing themselves up a bit
Yeah.
too.
Were they?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
they,
she saw me in the bus.
and because Mum
She
had,
said I saw him coming to work.
yeah, and Mum used to go out with the top of elders,
Right.
and they, and he,
Coxie.
yeah,
That
and
was in
he
Moore.
rang,
Didn't go out with him. She said you had to bloody watch him. He ran up a drain pipe, she reckons.
and anyway, he rang her and said Peter wasn't at work, and they'd seen
Sent
him
a telegram, sis.
got off at
God.
Leighton
No
Beach.
telegram.
Right.
So she gets all dressed up, goes down, gets off the train, went by train, goes down to the beach, all dressed up as Mum would be, and sees him hiding.
I saw him. Saw her
Saw her
coming.
coming,
I
yeah.
said to Yorkie Eves from Northam. Yorkie said, "There's me bloody mother." Under the ramp.
Yeah, they got under the ramp, and she saw them, but
Right.
she didn't go and pull him out, she just walked past.
So that he knew,
So,
she knew,
yeah.
he knew.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, in terms of sporting prowess, you've got a proud sporting record. Now, just tell us a bit about the rowing and the football.
Well, football was underage. That was during the war. Then my mate Johnny Humble, I was working at Elders then in 1948. He said, "Come down rowing at Fremantle Rowing Club." So I went down and rowed in all winter sport then in rowing, not like the girls row now in the summer. So we were all winter sport, and then I rowed in 48. We undefeated in the novices. That's that one up there. And in 49 I went away with Bill Young in the shoe as a presser
Mm-hmm.
and with the shearing teams. And then I came back each time and went back rowing each time. Then then on I used to come back on the go down the club. In 1953 we won, I didn't go away that year, and we won the state state eights, 3 milers in those days. And then that was 53, I went away 54, 55, and then I stayed home in 56, and then I went away in 55, we got married, shot through then, I was doing practicing, and then
Only took 3 years to get me. Never I.
Never right.
yeah, a bit like my mother's father.
Yeah.
Yeah. And didn't go. Then I went 57 up to Nukenbar, up at Derby, and then that was the last year I came home, and 57 hit the jackpot with mother. And then I went foreman down at Albany till February 59. Then I came back to Elders. Then I started off wool dumpers for old Doozy Hughes in Fremantle. And then in 68, they came and got me to be foreman at Elders in Fremantle. I worked there till Mr. John Elliott, God bless his bloody heart, sacked us and sacked the bloody mob. He sold the embassy, got rid of all our merchandise, steel store, all the transportable housing. When he sold all that, he went to England and bought bloody theatres. That's it. He should be doing time.
He should be doing time.
All right?
Now,
No.
Jan.
Yes, Brian.
Oh, now in terms of your well, so your
Yeah,
schooling
schooling,
and career.
Yes, well, I wasn't 18 when I left school, so I worked in 11 months in the office at the Children's Hospital, and I can remember the sandbags were all still up in front of the office when I started there, and then when I turned 18,
Is that part of the war thing, was it?
Yes, yeah, there were sandbags everywhere protecting the hospitals, and in December 1945 I started my nursing training for 3.5 years. You had to do 6 months at Royal Perth Hospital during that time, and so that made me finish in 1948 or 1949, 46, 47, 48.
49.
So where were the various places you did your training?
Oh, at Royal Perth and Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
And then Robin Thompson and myself went to Three Springs.
No, where did you do middle training?
But I'm just saying, we went to Three Springs for 6 weeks,
Did you?
and we had a good time, and Robin met Gordon Bodycoat, and we came back down to King Edward to do our MIDI training, and she was so much in love that after 6 weeks there she was going to leave and I was going to stop there by myself, so I left too. And then I did some went to a private hospital, Tresillian Hospital in Nedlands, and nursed there for a while. Then I did some private nursing around the place, and one of I looked after Isla Mortimer's, well, Isla Parry her name was, children, they had chickenpox. And then I went to Pinjarra Hospital for 6 months, and then we decided we'd go for a holiday. There was about 6 children's hospital nurses there, and we all went, decided we'd go over by boat to Victoria, and we went on the Menunda, and when we got on the Menunda, unfortunately there were about 50 nurses, so the sailors had a good time. There were no other passengers. And when we got to Melbourne, we had 3 weeks holiday there, and then we used to go up to the hills to look at places, and we saw this hospital at Ferntree Gully. So we walked up there and asked them if they wanted any staff, and they said yes, and so we went there for 6 months, but we found that all we were doing was we're delivering babies, which we shouldn't have been, so we decided we'd better do our mid. We wanted to do it the next day, so we couldn't get into any of the big hospitals, and one girl who'd done a mid at Bendigo suggested Bendigo, so we got in there without any trouble, and we were at Bendigo for 11 months and did our mid without any trouble, because there were only 6 nurses there and we got that many babies to deliver. We didn't have any problems, and you couldn't pay noughts and crosses when you went to lectures, so we did very well with our mid. Then we went back to WA, and I went to for a holiday to Three Springs to Robin or Carmar, and then I was asked back to work back at the hospital, and that's where I met your father, and met him in 1 month, got engaged next month, got her married the next month. Wasn't quite that quick, but nearly as
And
quick.
Richard came along the next one.
No, Richard didn't come along.
Pressure cooker.
Yeah.
No, that's not correct, Richard. Because Yeah. We were married in the February and Richard didn't come along till 1954. We were married.
Oh,
in
that's the year we got engaged, we came up.
Yes, and remember when I took Richard to the wedding, your wedding, and he laughed all the way through because I had little funny earrings. And then the reception was at Young's,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, right.
So,
And you got married where? At
I got married at Christchurch, Claremont, and the reception was at,
Underground one.
right in the middle of Perth, on the corner of Hay
Where-
and William Street. You went downstairs, Glenning Buildings was called.
Yeah, we went
And, yeah,
Hmm.
had to
Got
go
the
down.
jewellers in down there or something, yeah.
Yes,
And where did you guys get married?
Christchurch, Claremont.
Christchurch, Claremont in 1955.
Mm.
And their reception was at Canning Highway, Bill Young's.
Right. Okay, and then well, you moved from Three Springs,
In 1960,
having worked on the been on the farm for
9 years at Three Springs.
mm,
Or Jack might have been there 10 years.
and then down to Corrigan from there,
Yes.
and that's where the rest of us, well, Jeff and I, came along.
Yes. Three were born in, well, Richard and Philip were born in Three Springs, and Stephen was born at Devonleigh Hospital, Cottesloe, which is no more,
Mm.
and Jeffrey and Brian were born in Corrigan Hospital.
Oh,
Mm.
you'd be all right there, you'd be own midwifery.
And your girls, they were.
No, where they were born?
Mm.
Woodside in East Fremantle.
Mm.
Two girls in 1978, Gail, and 79, Marlene.
No,
Nah, 60s.
70,
50.
57, no, 58 and 59, sorry.
That's it. Yeah.
Not,
Yeah. So, and then, of course, on slightly sadder matters, then your father passed away in the 60s, was it?
66, October 66.
decimal currency.
Right. How were his last few years?
Oh, well, he just,
He just got pneumonia and that was it.
Mm.
yeah, Mum was in hospital.
What was he doing post-war again?
Well, he had units and that, and, didn't he?
Yeah,
Oh, he went up to Thar again after the war, didn't
yeah, till he sold it
Till he
to
sold it
a Mr. Jeans.
yeah,
Mm.
he did well out of it, didn't he? Because
Mm.
those days after the war, they got agencies for tractors and harvesters, and he took all that on and made a lot of money because, you know, 54 and 52, 53, 54, all wool was, the highest price wool was £1 a pound.
Mm.
You know, and before that, they were lucky if they were getting 17 pence a month,
Mm.
you know, for a pound. So.
And then your mother, post-war. Well, she
77 she died.
she.
Yeah, Mum died.
Oh, sorry, 77.
Mm.
Yes, October 77, just when Richard got engaged.
Mm. I can remember visiting her at a nursing home or a hospital.
Nursing home, Hollywood
Hollywood Hospital.
Village.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she was there. She went to the unit first, and then she went into the hospice, another section. They served them meals, and they were in this place because she was only there a day or two.
Yeah,
Then
about
she
48
went.
hours.
She went into hospital then and never came out.
Mm.
But she, the last 18 months, she wasn't with it.
Mm.
She used to call me Richard, and you know, because we're
Richard
very
went
similar
every-
on height,
yeah.
but,
And Richard went every week to see her. He was marvellous, wasn't he? Because he was at uni.
So how old were they when they passed away?
Dad was 70,
Yeah.
66, and Mum was 89.
Mm.
So we worked that out.
There you go.
Mum.
Broken?
Did you again?
What's oh yes, Peter. We'd like to hear that ditty before we leave.
Oh, didn't you get it on tape? There was a young girl from Cape Cod who thought all girls came from God. It wasn't the Almighty who lifted a 90, it was Roger the Lodger the sod.
Thank you.